Chosen one, there are forces in this world that operate unseen, forces that hunger to control your fate, to twist your soul, and to shatter your destiny. A coven of witches tried to summon your shadow self, a hidden part of you, intending to destroy everything you are, everything you were meant to become. They believed they could bend the unseen to their will, but they underestimated the one who commands the heavens and the earth, the one who has placed a power within you that no darkness can touch. What they called forth to harm you now obeys only you. Today, we are about to reveal 7 powerful lessons that will awaken your awareness, strengthen your faith, and show you how Allah turned their plot into your ultimate weapon. Pay attention, because understanding this could change the way you see every challenge, every enemy, and every shadow that crosses your path. Chosen one, hear this truth and let it sink into the deepest part of your heart. Every curse whispered, every ritual performed, every shadow they tried to summon against you was never outside the knowledge or decree of Allah, the Most High, the one whose command encompasses the heavens and the earth, whose wisdom orchestrates the seen and the unseen, and whose plan is beyond the comprehension of mortal minds. They may have thought that by gathering in secrecy, by chanting in the darkness, by attempting to awaken forces meant to harm, they could alter your destiny, that they could bend reality to their will, but in reality, what they intended as destruction was merely the instrument through which Allah refined, strengthened, and elevated your soul. For the Quran reminds us, and no calamity strikes except by permission of Allah, Surah At-Taghabun 64-11, a decree that encompasses every whispered plot, every envy-filled heart, and every unseen attempt to break you, meaning that the darkness they sought to unleash was always under divine control, and their power was never independent of the one who holds all authority. The shadows they called forth, the curses they hoped to cast, were nothing more than sparks in the ocean of Allah's knowledge, sparks that could not touch your essence unless He willed it, and even then, only to shape you, to awaken your hidden strength, to show you the depth of resilience and patience embedded in your soul, to remind you that the universe bends not to the evil intent of men, but to the decree of the Most Merciful, who turns trials into triumphs and attacks into ascension, who transforms what was meant to harm into a shield of protection, a teacher of wisdom, and a key to mastery over the unseen. So never see their plots as random, never fear their whispers as ultimate, and never doubt that what they intended for your ruin was in fact the doorway to your empowerment, because the one who watches over you sees everything, knows every intention, and in His perfect timing will turn every scheme, every attempt, every shadow cast in your direction into a force that obeys your command, strengthens your faith, and propels you toward the destiny He wrote for you before the first moment of creation. And that, chosen one, is the eternal reminder that nothing exists outside His decree. Nothing moves without His permission, and even the darkest designs of those who envy you are threads in the divine tapestry of your ultimate triumph. Chosen one, understand this with every fiber of your being. The shadow they sought to summon against you, the hidden reflection they tried to manipulate, is not an external enemy. It is a mirror of your own soul, a reflection of the depths that only Allah knows, the unseen layers of your heart, the corners of your mind where fears, doubts, and insecurities dwell. And yet, this shadow is not separate from you. It is part of your creation, part of your divine blueprint, placed within you by Allah not as a weakness but as a test, a reflection, and ultimately a tool of mastery. For the Quran reminds us that indeed, Allah does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. Surah Ar-Ra'd 13:11, meaning that the shadow, when awakened, exposes what is hidden within, revealing where faith is firm, where resolve wavers, and where patience must be strengthened. And when the Coven tried to manipulate it, they failed to realize that the unseen obeys only those whom Allah allows, and that when aligned with divine guidance, your shadow becomes your servant, your protector, your most intimate teacher, reflecting not only what is hidden but also what is powerful. showing you the depths of your resilience, the strength of your intent, and the truth of your heart's alignment with Allah's will, so that what was meant to scare, to weaken, and to control you now illuminates the path forward, empowering you to confront every trial, every whisper of darkness, and every hidden fear with clarity and authority. It is a constant reminder that what exists within you, your light, your faith, your divine connection, cannot be undone by human hands, nor can it be corrupted by their rituals, and that the shadow, once the target of malevolent intent, now answers only to you because Allah has made you the steward of your own unseen, the master of your own inner realm, and the commander of the very darkness that sought to consume you, proving that the soul is never weak, the unseen is never random, and what is hidden within you, when purified and strengthened by patience, faith, and tawakkul, becomes a reflection of divine wisdom, a mirror of power, and an eternal testament that even the forces of darkness must obey the one who walks in alignment with Allah, who fears Him alone, and who knows that what lies within is more powerful than anything they could summon against the servant of the Most High. Chosen one, hear this with unwavering clarity, for it is a truth that must resonate in the deepest chambers of your heart. Every act of envy, every whisper of malice, every shadow they tried to awaken to destroy you was designed by the enemy to scatter your soul, to fragment your faith, to make you doubt your worth, your path, and even the presence of Allah in your life. Yet what they intended for destruction, Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has transformed into unity, coherence, and strength. For the Quran reminds us, "And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits, but give good tidings to the patient, who, when disaster strikes them, say, 'Chosen one, understand this truth with every fiber of your being, for it is a message that will forever transform the way you see yourself, your trials, and the unseen world that surrounds you. The shadow they attempted to summon to destroy you, the darkness they thought could bend you to fear, despair, or doubt, was never independent of Allah's knowledge or decree. And yet, through His infinite wisdom, this very shadow now obeys you, not as a force of ego or arrogance, but as a living testament to the authority Allah has placed within your soul, because mastery over the unseen is never granted lightly, it is never entrusted to the unprepared, and it is never given to those whose hearts waver at the first sign of opposition. The Quran reminds us, "And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways." Surah Al-Ankabut 29-69. And in this striving, in this unshakable alignment with Allah, you have proven that you are worthy of bearing the weight of authority over forces that dwell beyond the sight of the ordinary, forces that are invisible to the human eye, yet capable of wreaking havoc if misused. And this is why the shadow now answers to your command. It reflects your inner strength, it mirrors your patience, and it manifests the divine trust that Allah has placed in you, showing that what was once summoned as an instrument of destruction has been transformed into a servant of protection, a teacher of discernment, and a weapon aligned with the will of the Most High. Understand, chosen one, that this authority is not an invitation to pride, for pride is the trap of those who misuse power, but rather it is a sacred responsibility, a trust bestowed only upon those who maintain purity of intent, sincerity in action, and unwavering faith in Allah's decree. And every time you feel fear rising, every time darkness threatens to overwhelm, every time whispers of envy and malice attempt to penetrate your heart, remember that the very forces meant to dominate your destiny now serve your purpose, and they do so because Allah has chosen to make you the steward of your unseen, the commander of your soul's hidden realms, and the guardian of a light that cannot be extinguished. Your command over the shadow is therefore not a mere coincidence. It is a divine signature, a sign that Allah sees your patience. He acknowledges your trials, and He has prepared you for a station that few can ever comprehend. For the unseen obeys those whom Allah trusts, and He trusts you because you have proven your loyalty, your endurance, and your alignment with His will. Remember also that this power is a reflection of the balance between fear and faith, darkness and light, trial and triumph. For the shadow obeys not because it fears you, but because it recognizes the authority of Allah manifested through you, and every command you give, every control you assert, every boundary you maintain is an echo of divine decree, an extension of His wisdom, and a demonstration that even the forces of darkness, when faced with purpose, patience, and alignment with the Most High, must submit, must yield, and must serve the one chosen to walk in His light. This is why, chosen one, every moment you spend mastering the unseen, every time you assert your authority over the shadow that once threatened you, is a reminder that Allah's plan is perfect, that your trials were never random, and that your station in the world, though unseen, often misunderstood, and tested through fire, is proof that the universe itself bends to the decree of the Most High, and that the authority you hold over forces that others cannot even perceive is a living testament to the divine trust placed upon you, the sacred responsibility of guarding the unseen, and the eternal truth that what was meant to destroy you has been transformed into the very instrument of your elevation, mastery, and ultimate triumph, showing that the shadow is not your enemy, the darkness is not your adversary, and the unseen is not beyond your reach. It is now under your stewardship because you walk in obedience to Allah, fear none but Him, and wield the unseen not for ego, not for vengeance, but as a servant of divine purpose, a reflection of your unwavering faith, and a sign to the world that Allah's chosen are never powerless, never defeated, and never abandoned, for even the shadows must bow to the one whose heart aligns with the command of the eternal King. Chosen one, listen carefully, for this is a truth that the world will never teach, a truth that the enemies of your soul will never understand. The darkness others try to impose upon you, the whispers of envy, the rituals of malice, the attempts to manipulate your shadow, and the schemes born from hearts filled with hatred is powerless against the light Allah has placed within your heart, for this light is not a mere flicker or fragile flame, it is the divine spark of your soul, an essence imbued by the Most High, eternal and untouchable by human hands. And the Quran reminds us that, indeed, Allah is the protector of those who have faith, Surah Al-Imran 3-150, meaning that no matter how intense the darkness, no matter how cunning the attempts, no matter how many forces gather in secrecy to weaken you, they cannot penetrate what Allah has safeguarded within you, and even the shadows they tried to awaken, which they believed could be turned against you, now bow to your command, reinforcing the truth that the unseen belongs only to the one who created it, and to those whom He entrusts with its stewardship, showing that light cannot be extinguished by darkness, and that faith cannot be corrupted by the envy of men, nor can purity of intent be sullied by the schemes of those who do not recognize the hand of Allah in your life. Remember, chosen one, that the very attempts to harm you are a reflection of your elevated station in the unseen, a testimony to the fact that the closer you are to Allah, the more intensely the forces of darkness will try to test you, not to destroy you, but to awaken the power, patience, and resilience that reside in your soul. And the shadow that they once tried to manipulate now serves as a mirror, reflecting back to you the strength of your character, the clarity of your intentions, and the unshakable alignment of your heart with the will of your Creator, demonstrating that what was meant to corrupt now confirms your mastery over your inner realm, that every curse becomes a protection, every attempt to scare becomes a lesson in fortitude, and every ritual intended to bind you becomes proof of divine favor. And this is why, chosen one, you must never fear their plots, never allow their malice to penetrate your consciousness, and never mistake their darkness for a reflection of your own light. For the light within you is an inheritance from Allah Himself, a gift placed in your heart before the first moment of creation, and it cannot be contaminated, diminished, or defiled by any human scheme. And as long as you remain steadfast, patient, and devoted, the light will continue to grow, illuminating your path, fortifying your soul, guiding your decisions and reflecting the truth of your divine connection, so that no matter how many gather in secret to oppose you, no matter how powerful the whispers of envy, the rituals of witches, or the manipulation of shadows may seem, they are powerless against the essence of faith, integrity, and divine alignment. And the shadow itself, once intended to harm you, now exists to serve you, to obey you, and to remind you that the darkness of others is merely a reflection of their own fear and weakness, and can never touch the soul that Allah has protected, strengthened, and prepared for greatness. For when the light within is anchored in the Most High, it is untouchable, unshakable, and eternal, illuminating not only your path but also the world around you, showing all who witness it that no curse, no envy, no sorcery, and no scheme can ever overcome the one whose soul is aligned with the command of Allah, whose heart remains pure, and whose faith is unwavering. And this, chosen one, is the ultimate proof that even in a world filled with darkness, the light within you will always prevail, always guide, and always remain invincible, because it is the light of Allah reflected in your being, unbreakable, eternal, and sovereign, over every force that would dare to challenge it. Chosen one, understand this with unwavering certainty. Every trial you have faced, every attempt to undermine you, every whisper of malice and envy aimed at your soul, every shadow they tried to summon to destroy you, and every plan designed to break your spirit has not been a punishment, nor has it been an accident, but rather a hidden doorway, a secret path that Allah, the Most Wise, has placed before you to awaken the mastery that resides within your soul. For the Quran reminds us, do not think of those who have been killed in the cause of Allah as dead. Rather, they are alive with their Lord, receiving provision. Surah Al-Imran 3-169. And while this verse speaks of the martyrs of faith, it also reflects a universal truth for those chosen to endure trials. That every moment of hardship, every shadow that approaches, and every unseen enemy is in reality a test, a refinement, a crucible through which Allah purifies your intentions, strengthens your resolve, and awakens the hidden strength that lies dormant until it is summoned by necessity. For trials are never meant to crush you, they are never designed to break your soul. Instead, they exist to reveal the depth of your patience, the firmness of your faith, and the authority of your spirit over the unseen. And the Coven that sought to manipulate your shadow did not realize that their plots were being woven into the fabric of your ascension, that the darkness they unleashed was the very medium through which Allah would teach you mastery over yourself and the forces around you, showing you that the trials of life are in truth hidden doors to higher stations, to understanding, to awareness, and to a power that is only awakened through endurance, perseverance, and absolute alignment with divine will. For the shadow they thought could harm you has become a reflection of your growth, an instrument that now obeys your command, a teacher that demonstrates the authority Allah has placed in your hands, and a reminder that mastery is never born from ease, never gained from comfort, and never granted to those who avoid struggle. For every moment of hardship, every attempt to scatter your faith, and every trial meant to intimidate you is in fact an invitation to step into the fullness of your divine potential, to claim the authority Allah has written for you, and to recognize that the pain, the fear, and the uncertainty were never signs of weakness, but rather signals that your station is rising, your power is awakening, and your soul is being prepared for a destiny that cannot be achieved through ease, wealth, or worldly favor. For mastery is forged in the fires of trial, molded in the unseen, and awakened by the patience of those who remain steadfast in the face of the impossible. And this is why the shadow that once threatened you now obeys you. It is a testament to the fact that trials, no matter how dark or intense, are merely the tools Allah uses to elevate His chosen, to reveal what is hidden, and to prepare the soul for a level of authority, awareness, and spiritual mastery that cannot be attained any other way. And so, chosen one, when you face hardship, when darkness rises, when whispers of envy and attempts of manipulation surround you, Remember that these trials are not random, they are not punishment, they are not signs that you are weak or abandoned, but rather they are the hidden doors that lead you to mastery, to sovereignty over your soul and the unseen, to alignment with divine wisdom, and to a station so elevated that even the forces of darkness must now submit to your command. For what was once intended to destroy you has been transformed into the very instrument of your elevation, your empowerment, and your eternal triumph, proving that those who endure with faith, patience, and sincerity are the ones who rise above the ordinary, who walk in mastery over the unseen, and whose lives become living proof that trials are the secret gateways to greatness, and that Allah's chosen, when tested, are never broken, never lost, and never defeated, because every shadow that approaches, every attempt to harm, and every trial placed in their path is in fact a bridge, a divine passage, and a sacred opportunity to awaken the power, authority, and mastery that Allah has always destined for them. And this chosen one is the ultimate truth. The trials are never obstacles to fear, never burdens to despair, and never punishments to endure. They are the hidden doors, the sacred gateways, and the divine instruments through which Allah shapes the chosen into masters of their own soul, sovereign over the unseen, and victorious over every force that dared to challenge His decree. Chosen one, hear this with every fiber of your being and let it resonate deep within your heart, for it is the final truth of this journey, the ultimate revelation that ties together every trial, every shadow, every whisper of envy and malice that was ever aimed at your soul. What they meant to use as a weapon against you, the darkness they tried to awaken, the shadow they attempted to control, the schemes and rituals designed to fracture your faith and scatter your spirit, has been transformed by Allah, the Most High, into your greatest ally, a servant of protection, a mirror reflecting your strength, a guide revealing your mastery over the unseen, and a teacher showing you the power that lies in alignment with divine will. For the Quran reminds us, Allah is the protector of those who have faith. Surah Al-Imran 3-150. And in this protection, the very forces that were conjured to harm you now obey you, because Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has shown that nothing in the universe, no matter how dark, how secret, or how powerful it seems, exists outside His command, and nothing can touch the one whom He protects except by His permission, and even then, only to elevate, refine, and awaken the greatness that resides within. And this is why the shadow, once intended to destroy, has become a reflection of your own mastery, a servant that amplifies your awareness, a guardian that shields your soul, and a testament to the truth that what Allah decrees cannot be reversed by envy, hatred, or the manipulation of unseen forces. For the trials they conjured, the attempts they orchestrated, and the darkness they hoped to wield have all been woven into the fabric of your ascension, showing you that even the instruments of malice, when touched by divine wisdom, become tools of empowerment, and that what was once a threat is now a living proof that Allah turns every plot against His chosen into a pathway for victory. Every whisper meant to break faith into a reminder of His protection, and every shadow meant to intimidate into a servant of strength, obedience, and clarity. And understand, chosen one, that this transformation is not an accident, it is not luck, and it is not a sign that the enemy is weak. It is a manifestation of divine order, a reflection of Allah's perfect timing, and a demonstration that the unseen obeys those whom He trusts, and that even the forces of darkness, when confronted by the one aligned with divine purpose, must submit, must serve, and must elevate the chosen. For nothing exists outside Allah's knowledge, nothing moves without His will, and every challenge, every threat, every attempt to harm has been repurposed to awaken, strengthen, and reveal the power that was always yours to wield. And this is why, chosen one, you must never fear what others intend, never doubt the shadows that approach, and never forget that your soul, tested and refined, carries within it a light so strong, a mastery so profound, and a connection to the Most High so unbreakable, that even what was meant to destroy you becomes your ally, and your victory is inevitable because Allah, in His perfect wisdom, has already written it into the unseen, orchestrated it through trials, and ensured it manifests through the alignment of your heart, the purity of your intent, and the steadfastness of your faith. And this is the ultimate reminder. The forces that tried to harm you now obey you, the darkness that approached you now serves you, and the shadow that was once a threat is now a testament to the divine protection, guidance, and empowerment bestowed upon those whom Allah has chosen, those whose souls are anchored in faith, whose hearts are aligned with divine will, and whose patience, endurance, and trust in the Most High transform every trial into triumph, every curse into a shield, every attack into elevation, and every shadow into a loyal servant of their purpose, proving once and for all that nothing in this world, no human plot, no spell, no envy, and no darkness can touch the one whose soul Allah has made His own, whose path is guided by His wisdom, and whose destiny is protected, affirmed, and elevated by the eternal King. For what was meant to destroy you has, by the decree of Allah, become your greatest ally, your instrument of mastery, and the ultimate proof that the unseen obeys those chosen to walk in alignment with Him, and that your rise, your triumph, and your sovereignty over both the seen and unseen were never threatened, never delayed, and never in doubt. Because the one who commands the heavens and the earth has written your victory before the first moment of creation, and nothing can ever alter it. Chosen one, now you see the truth with clarity. Every trial you faced, every shadow that rose against you, every curse, every whisper of envy, every attempt at manipulation and sorcery was never outside the knowledge, decree, or wisdom of Allah. And what was meant to destroy you has been transformed into your greatest ally, a servant of protection, a mirror reflecting your strength, and a teacher revealing the mastery, patience, and authority that reside within your soul. For the unseen obeys those aligned with the Most High, and your shadow, your trials. And every force intended to harm you now serve your purpose, strengthen your spirit, and elevate your destiny, showing you that nothing in this world, no darkness, no envy, no plot, no human scheme can touch the one whose heart belongs to Allah, whose faith is unshakable, and whose soul is anchored in divine will. So rise, chosen one, walk forward with certainty, command the unseen with wisdom, embrace the divine authority placed in your heart, and step into the destiny Allah has written for you before the first moment of creation, knowing that every shadow that obeys you, every trial that refined you, and every attempt to harm you has been repurposed into instruments of triumph, illumination, and sovereignty, proving that your light cannot be dimmed, your power cannot be challenged, and your ultimate victory is already decreed by the eternal King. And remember always, what was meant to destroy you has become your greatest ally, and nothing seen or unseen can ever stop what Allah has ordained for His chosen.